Good morning and welcome to Rising. Happy Valentine's Day to all who celebrate. Happy Valentine's Day, Robby.
Thank you, Ryan. To you as well.
Should we do a little Super Bowl banter or just skip that?
I didn't watch it or a single piece of content associated with it. Don't know who won.
Let's skip it.
Let's skip it.
So we have an incredible show today, the kind of show that people are going to remember where they were, I think, when they watch this show. Am I right?
Oh boy, will they. That's because Batya Ungar-Sargon is here to break down reports alleging that the Hillary Clinton campaign paid tech workers to dig up a Donald Trump-Russia connection. Then journalist Justin Ling will be here to discuss the Freedom Convoy along the U.S.-Canadian border. Right now, we'd like to focus our attention on the rising tensions between Russia and Ukraine. President Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy had a phone call yesterday morning where Biden assured the Ukrainian president that the U.S. will respond swiftly and decisively to any further aggression by Russia against Ukraine. The call took place as U.S. officials continue to say a Russian attack could happen, quote, any day now, urging all Americans who are still in Ukraine to leave the country. The State Department said that Poland has opened its borders to Americans leaving Ukraine. But as U.S. media and the military continue to sound the alarm on a Russian planned attack, Ukrainian President Zelenskyy said over the weekend that he is demanding to see proof of a planned invasion and said the warnings of an attack were only, quote, provoking panic and not helping us, saying, quote, if you or anyone has any additional information about a 100% chance of an invasion, give it to us. Now, according to U.S. official, the U.S. has picked up intelligence that Russia is looking at Wednesday as a target date. However, that evidence has not been made public. Currently, there are more than 130,000 American troops staged near Ukraine's borders. That's up from the 100,000 the U.S. has cited publicly in previous weeks. And now the Ukraine could drop its bid to join NATO in order to avoid war with Russia. Director of the Institute for Global Transformations in Kyiv, Dr. Oleksiy Semeniy, is here to discuss. Welcome.
Welcome to you, Robby and Ryan.
Thanks so much for joining us. Now, so do you think if Ukraine is very clear about that they're not wanting to be involved in NATO, would that, at this point, de-escalate hostilities?
If it is going to have just a very strict statement, because you mentioned the statement of our ambassador in UK, Vadim, former Minister for Foreign Affairs. But immediately afterwards, actually, there was a statement from the same embassy and then the statement of the spokesperson of MFA here in Kyiv that actually you have misunderstood in some another context. So it is going to be quite a delicate question exactly today to which extent this statement is open the way for handling the issue that Ukraine, maybe cancel this, or for some period cancel this aim about NATO membership, because actually this aim is fixed in our constitution for last 3 years. That's why it's not very easy. So I suppose that actually, if it is going to happen like this, it will open the way for de-escalation, and there was already the positive reaction from the Russian side, namely from press secretary of the president of the Russian Federation, that yes, it will de-escalate. So in general, if it will be like you mentioned, it will actually provide some maneuver for de-escalation.
And so can you explain to us why there seems to be so much daylight between the public positioning of Zelenskyy versus the public positioning of the United States, with the United States saying, war is coming every second, and Zelenskyy saying, stop it, you're panicking everybody, you've gotten airlines to shut down flights, it's almost as if we're the ones being sanctioned as a result of this panic. Why so much daylight between ostensible allies here over this question?
Actually, there are two, from my perspective, there are two main reasons, because this some kind of minor disagreement, it's not like for yesterday or the week before. It's actually the case since November, when the first statements from the United States intelligence services actually appeared through some media and then were countered by Kyiv. The first reason is that indeed, after the lessons in 2014, we Ukrainians, because we are quite close, we have the border with the Russian Federation, we do know quite well, we suppose, maybe even better, the psychology of Russians and Russian military and their allies. That's why we can actually, the same facts, we can translate a little bit in another way than our Western partners. And the reason number two, if, for example, Zelenskyy will state or would state the same as it was stated by many already Western capitals and officials, that would have provoked a lot of, I would say, even panic here which nobody wants to happen here. And you should understand the positioning of the president here, who is responsible for the country, who is responsible for security and some kind of calm situation, because already now, after the second, I would say, circle of this escalation started, I suppose it has started after the negotiations in Berlin in Normandy format. Actually, the economic situation, the exchange rate is going now down. And of course, nobody from Ukrainian officials would like to have the picture as it is now developing. And they tried somewhere to calm down to the extent it is possible. So you can understand actually the normal reasoning of that people.
Are we making an invasion more likely? Is the U.S. making it more likely by engaging in the kind of rhetoric that we're engaged in right now?
Very sharp question, but the answer will be a diplomatic one. I would say the rhetoric from all of the sides for the last 3 days actually provokes the further escalation, provokes the situation when none of the sides will find it possible to step back or to reach some kind of compromise, not to lose the face, which actually provokes the possibility, which not, from my perspective, was the basic scenario. So military escalation or large-scale invasion from Russia, it was not the basic scenario until the last week. But now it is becoming more and more possible. Although already, from my perspective, it is not still the basic scenario. So we have the space to settle it down or to avert to some extent.
So does the United States share its intelligence with its Ukrainian counterparts? In other words, if the United States does have this rock-solid intelligence that they won't share with the American public, do they share it with Ukrainian counterparts? And if so, it doesn't seem like the Ukrainians are buying it.
The answer is yes and no. Yes, but the question is to what extent, and it is normal. They can share this not fully, because some elements, due to their sensibilities, they will not share, not with Ukrainians, and some of information they will share with nobody. It's normal practice by intelligence services. But actually, the next issue, very important, if even you share the information, then you should take into account how you translate this information. And the issue is that Ukrainian side since November is a little bit differentiating in translating this information, adding to wrong information, because we have on the ground as well the information. Because from my perspective, for example, for satellite and some many technical facilities, of course, United States is maybe #1 all over the world globally. But on the ground, knowing the information, knowing the psychology, using the informal networks, let's be honest, from the Russian side, we can have just another loop. And on the basis of this, maybe actually the president and his team is taking the position which they have taken before. Let's see how it will develop further. From my perspective, actually the next 2-3 days will be quite crucial.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us here certainly don't automatically trust what we hear, what U.S. officials tell us, because they get it wrong. So, why would we put more stock in what our government is saying versus the government that's involved in the actual matter, in the actual question, right?
Yep. And the problem is, from my perspective, which makes the situation very, let's take it diplomatic, ambiguous, that, for example, if you imagine, already in the American press and some Western media, it was fixed the date, be it 15, be it 16th, as the date of the Russian invasion. I hope it will not happen, and let's imagine it had not happened. Then, automatically, if it had not happened, the automatic question will be to all of the Western leaders, to some extent media or intelligence, what the hell? You actually stated that the invasion will happen, the invasion did not happen, so it will be the issue of credibility, and then backwards, it actually provokes many sides not to lose the face. If you publicly stated that something is going to happen, and then some event did not happen, you have troubles. And that's actually is very, very dangerous, because it can provoke that I cannot lose my face. I would prefer something to happen definitely, because otherwise it will be quite problematic for me, for my actually whole trust and the whole some kind public assets globally, which actually, for example, first of all, United States needs now very, very due to China, due to Russia, due to many other issues, even with their own allies. Actually, the trust is very delicate question for United States now, especially now.
And so to put a point on it, so do you think that the American rhetoric and all of these American predictions have made a Russian invasion more likely or less likely in the end?
Let's be honest. Option one.
More likely. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
there it is.
Saber rattling can be dangerous.
Well, Oleksiy Semeniy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Robby and Ryan.
We appreciate your expertise. Next, we'll tell you what's on our radars. Stay around for that.